Hey guys, those who doesn't know me, so for them, my name is Pradyumna Ghosh. I am a programmer, and I have been coding almost kind of 15, 16 years till now. And I have been into gaming, creating applications, web applications from of different scale. And I do have a daughter who is kind of 10 years old, and she's completely different personality than me. So she doesn't have any interest on what I do on day-to-day basis. Her world is full of art and craft. So recently, she has developed a need of digitizing her assets and then publishing them on social platforms. She has her own YouTube channel, and also she wanted a website of her own. So on a fine morning, she came to me and asked me, "Papa, can I have my own website?" I said, "Yes." Then she asked, "So how should I develop that?" Um, I said, "Okay, for that, you need to tell the computer in some code language so that it can understand, and then you can just put it on a website so everyone can see your work." She said, "What? You mean to say the work that you do every day, like some kind of coding?" I said, "Yes." Then she said, "Okay, but I don't want to code." So yeah, so this statement is basically her that she don't want to code. I was a little bit nervous because as a developer, I always see everything by code, and she's not interested into it. So how do I manage her digital needs? I was a little bit worried. But then I told, okay, so why don't you go and then quickly sketch what you want to put on your website? So she came back with a very beautiful sketch, putting her name, and then this was the sketch that you can see on the screen. And then I started Googling how I solve this problem without having much of technical stuff, and then it which will make her life more easier and do it more seamlessly. And within 5 minutes, we come up with a very beautiful website of her, and she's so happy. And in the whole process of bringing this website, I did not write a single line of HTML. So the whole process, if I explain, is basically I just used some sketch, put into some kind of machine that understands artificial intelligence, reads the blocks, convert them into some kind of HTML file, and which can be either used by a designer, front-end developer, or like if you can just put it on a website like my daughter did. And in the whole process, the most important role is of this artificial intelligence machine, which basically recognizes each patterns and then converts it into code. So this whole process can be too much complicated. It takes a while to understand, process these images, and then figuring out. But thankfully, we do have very intelligent systems like Google AutoML, which has a version of AutoML Vision, which basically images, which recognizes images, converts them into kind of REST APIs, and gives you insight by which you can just create your own code. This is the same principle based on which a lot of companies who are building a very similar application where you can just put some wireframe and then convert them into prototype in a very real-time manner. So let's see one example. Of course, I don't have the real example of my daughter's website, but I can just have one example where I will show you two prototypes that I'm converting. So I have two sketches. So let me put these sketches on my app using beta program, where I'm just logging in, and let me create a new prototype. So let me name it like test project, and then click on the mobile layout and then create. So you can drag and drop, or you can select all these images and then upload it. You can do it at once, or maybe you can just do it one by one. Let me do it one by one. And once it uploads, there is a machine behind which basically understands what these sketches are all about, and then creates a very beautiful looking UI. And yeah, it takes some while, but it kind of instantly detects all the things that are there in my image, and then converts them into either image block, or navigation element, or a header, or a button, or something. Now let's convert them into prototypes. So I'll just link the bigger image to one of the second screen, and button to the first screen. And after that, let me share it. So this now I will have this link, and let's open the link and see how the prototype looks like. Yep. So let's click on the first image. Yep. And then click on this button to go back. Yep. So easy, right? It's the same tool that I used for my daughter's website, and not necessarily it. Well, today is the case of my daughter, but there are cases where, let's say, you are a business analyst or information architect who is sitting in front of a client, and you have got some idea. Now you want to make that idea into a real wireframe, and then code it, and then create a prototype. It may take a lot of time, right? Instead of that, you use these tools, and then don't lose the opportunity to sell your idea in a matter of 2 minutes. The whole concept here is all about minimizing the time that requires to test an idea, so that we can be more productive, we can have more um, we can bring more work which is easier to create, demonstrate, and ideate, right? So in this whole process, we just use some tool where we are not using any code. But what about we coders, right? We coders do a lot of legwork. When I say legwork, I mean to say we do a lot of work. We spend kind of 3/4 of our time spending only on repetitive codes, right? So we have written 1,000 times the same if else statements that we have used when we started learning our programs. So that's a waste of time, right? The similar code blocks we may automate in some way. We may get some system to recognize and write it for us. And this where the new term deep coding comes into play, which eliminates the legwork that we are doing. So it basically is going to read some of our code and then write it. Then the program will generate another program based on those learnings. There has been certain amount of research going on this particular stuff. I can just talk about Microsoft Deep Coder, which basically learns different small code blocks using different kind of techniques such as program synthesis, domain specific languages, or in some cases meta programming, to understand the code blocks and generate the code for us. Essentially, it will allow the non-coders to simply describe the idea and get a program written for them. So let's see some of the tools that those are based on this idea. OpenAI is one of the platforms where you can tell, okay, check whether a string is palindrome or not, and you can just write the program for you. Isn't it amazing? Yeah. So let's see another example, Codata. So Codata is basically a platform where you can use this in your web storm. I use this in my personal machine, where it gives you insight about a code block for AI based autocomplete, and it reads thousands of open source code and then detects, okay, probably this particular piece of code you are looking for. right? I have the links here. If in case if you're interested, you can just go ahead and experiment with this small utilities that can save a lot of time. I have another example, deep code, which is basically based on a concept called big code. And this is again an AI based platform where it can read your programs, it can analyze your programs and tell you where exactly there is some problem, or is there a better way to do the same code. Having all these machines is basically telling us that, yeah, we can now have more time to focus more on our imagination. We can create solutions, we can better focus on the strategies, and that's how the future looks like, right? So we have to put more time to imagine, for imagination, create creative solutions. And if we have a custom solution that we are creating, then create different strategies so that we can optimize the cost and time. You'll be wondering, like, if all these things are doing all the work for us, then probably we don't have to code. No, that's not the real case. We still have to train the AI models, we still have to create custom solutions, we still have to design these kind of systems that can produce codes faster, intelligently and more efficiently, so that people, those who don't want to code, they can have a better life. They can just create systems, which definitely we are calling these days as a low code. So they can use these low code platforms and create meaningful applications for their own utilization. After all this discussion, and all these tools that I have, that I found, it gives me solace as a father that, okay, my daughter who wants to enjoy her life as a creative artist, she can spend time without worrying how to digitize her work, how to make the system understand through some kind of code language, which probably she has no interest in. So it's a beautiful future for her, and I'm happy about it. Thank you for being a pleasant listener.